Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2. We are excited to welcome you to our bonus episode, The Friday Fix. We are your hosts, Tracy and Ian O, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. And together, we are In Business.
Every Friday we will be discussing a business-related subject with either one of our wonderful In Business networking members or a fellow business owner who'll be sharing their advice, thoughts and knowledge on a particular topic. Oh, and make sure you listen to the end of the show to hear our guests tell us about their favourite networking tip. This week's episode is called Untangling the Ball of Spaghetti in Your Head, and our special guest is Brenda Etchells of Carduus Limited. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome, Brenda.
Welcome,
Thank
Brenda.
you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what is it you're going to be telling us about today then, Brenda?
Well, I think your title is great. I'm going to talk to you about being really clear about what you're trying to achieve in your business and how to be focused about making sure you stay on that path. But one of my clients once gave me the feedback that she said, "Oh my God, you've really helped me just untangle the spaghetti in my head." And ever since I've used that as a tagline, because I just thought it was just really, really nailed what it is that I did for her and the benefits for her. Because
Yeah, it's a great analogy, isn't it?
it's a fantastic analogy. A lot of us have so much stuff going on in our heads. Just to try and get it out your head and presented back to you very clearly on one or two pages of paper is just really, really powerful. So I've kind of sort of built a bit of a niche and been able to do that for my clients. Get the stuff out your head and present it back to you in a clear, logical way that allows you to focus and progress your business.
Excellent. So what? Tell us then, what's the process then, Brenda? How do you do that? How are you going to get the spaghetti out of our heads?
Well, my background is in strategy and strategic planning, and us strategists, we love anything that's like sort of template form or matrix form, lots of things like in 2x2 matrices. But there's one tool that I use with all my clients, which is called the Business Model Canvas. And it's such an easy tool to use, but so powerful because it breaks down your business idea into 9, I guess, building blocks. And by working through with clients each box in a kind of logical way, it helps them almost tell the story of their business. So why are you in business? Who are you trying to attract? What's their problem, need, issue that you're trying to solve with your business? How do you interact with your customers? Are you looking to build really deep, lasting relationships? Or if you, for example, if you've got an online shop that's very transactional and you never really get to know the end customer. So lots of different models will have transact in different ways. How are you reaching your customers? How are you targeting? How are they getting to hear about your business? Then we kind of look at, well, what does your business actually have to do behind the scenes? So what are the actual activities you need to do to run your business? A lot of us in the small business world are very good at knowing our own business. But we're not quite sure maybe how all the other things that go with running a business. So it's really making you
We
think.
always say that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
You're good at what you do, but
Yeah,
running your
exactly.
business is a
What
whole
is that
different ball
end-to-end
game, isn't it?
process? What are
Yes.
all the touch points along the way? All the back office stuff that needs to get done. And when you've looked at all that stuff, how much of that stuff can you do yourself or do you want to do yourself? How much do you potentially want to outsource to an expert to do or bring in partners to collaborate with? And all that just helps you build a picture of your business model. I find quite often there'll be a sort of pain point with my clients where they're having to make a decision on their business model. And it's normally when they're growing and they've reached that point in the growth where they can't do it all themselves and they need to bring in outside help.
Yeah.
And they get to that point where it's, okay, do I become an employer and employ people? But that's quite risky. Or do I start outsourcing bits of work or bring in partners? And that can be risky as well, because at the end of the day, it's your reputation on the line. So it's working through with people. And this will all be going on their head. Should I employ? Should I outsource? What about the cost of that? Oh my God, there's risks in that. And it's just by working through all these options with people and really trying to sort of be clear about what the pros and cons are of each stage and what the impact is on your business and on your bottom line. And so sometimes what I do is I work through the business model in 2 or 3 different scenarios. So you can almost see the different scenarios painted. And when you stand back, and I mean, I love, give me a whiteboard and post-it notes and I'm flying. And that's more powerful for the client, because when they can stand back and almost visualize their business, but through a different perspective, for a different lens, almost become really clear and obvious what it is they should be doing.
I think sometimes it happens, doesn't it? You need somebody else from the outside to look at what you're doing, because you don't always see what you're doing. And then when someone says, you think, oh, blimey, that's blindingly obvious, is that? You know?
Yeah.
But until somebody says that, you flounder. Yeah,
exactly. So obviously bringing in a lot of sort of business mentoring type approaches as well. So being quite inquisitive and challenging and asking questions along the way, because often, again, clients might not have thought of something. And you don't want to tell them what to do, but just by asking the question of why are you doing that, or why have you not thought about that, that might prompt them to have different thoughts. So very much working through with the client those building blocks of their business and working through different scenarios for them. And then what I do is I put together what I've called my plan on a page, which I think I might have to start trademarking or copywriting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on the front of the page, we'll have, this is your purpose, this is why you're in business, this is why you exist. And that should pretty much be a constant and not change. That's your reason for getting up in the morning and running your business.
Yeah.
What's your long-term vision? So what's that sort of guiding light that you're trying to achieve? And then what are the main things you need to focus on to get there? It might be client acquisition, it might be marketing, it might be being operationally really efficient, whatever it is, it's the main drivers to move your business forward. And then on the other side, we basically just list all the actions that you need to do with timescales and with measures. Then that's the bit that's about holding people to account. So the plan on a page is, this is your clarity. This is you clear about what you're doing and why.
Yeah.
The follow-up meetings and the progress is the being focused and keeping people accountable for what you're doing. So you said you were going to do this by March. Have you done it? No. Well, why haven't you done it? I've been too busy dealing with customers and because we all get bogged down in the doing. And many people say to me, I'm too busy to think strategically. That is such short-termism. I mean, it's great. You think you're busy in your business and that's great. But unless you've got an eye on the long term and you've gone to all that trouble of deciding what you want your business to look like and how you're going to get there, but then you're too busy to actually take it in that direction.
Yeah.
So
and you might be busy at that moment in time, but because you're not thinking more strategically in the future, you're busy now, but you might not, because those orders and everything else might just drop off, might, because you've not thought about it.
You might not have that pipeline coming through, or your competitor in the meantime started doing something that you weren't aware of because you weren't thinking about it. So a lot with my clients, I have regular progress reviews, and that I think that keeps them accountable and it keeps them focused and it keeps them thinking longer term. And even if it's just an hour once a month, it just helps you as a business owner step out of the business and think longer term.
Yeah, I think that accountability is important as well. I know, from what we do, just having somebody to say, have you done this? Have you done that? It makes you do it,
doesn't it?
You think about somebody's going to be phoning you in a week's time and saying, well, what are you up to? And oh gosh, I better do it. So
exactly. Yeah. And if you haven't done it, there may be valid reasons, because the market might have changed, as we all know that can happen, and it may not be the right tactic anymore. But that's fine. We stop and we have that discussion about that, and then we sort of say, so what is the right thing you should be doing? Yeah. So I'm not a believer in having a plan and sticking to it and following it. It's like, that's why we need to review it. And is it still are you still on the right path for your business?
Yeah. So it's got to be flexible and fluid, isn't it?
Great word, Tracy, fluid.
Yeah, so from a strategy point of view, then I suppose you've always got to bear in mind, you've got to be flexible. You can't be static with one single plan, because things change. I mean, who would have expected a year ago, whatever it is now, we'd have been hit with COVID. Look at that impact that's had on people. You can't legislate for things like that. So you've got to be adaptable, haven't you? You've got to be flexible, I suppose.
You have to be adaptable. I mean, in sort of the theory world of strategy, there's different approaches to strategy. And if you're in a market which is very, very stable, you can have a plan and be quite rigid and stick to it. But I don't think that's any market at the moment. So I think every business needs to be ready to adapt and to flex and to be fluid. But you have to do that. You have to be aware of what's going on in your market. You have to be aware of what's happening in the economy or social trends that are changing, or how your customers' needs have changed. And that's the whole part of a strategy process, is making sure you're doing that research and insight as you go, and you're not just sticking to plan A and not worrying about anything else.
Do you have a favourite strategy tip? Just as a matter of interest.
I'm borrowing a line from a book here, but my favourite tip is your strategy needs a strategy. You need to have a strategic approach to having a strategy.
Right. Oh, good. I like that one.
Back to what I was saying, the right strategy for your business in this market. There's no point having a massive business plan document sitting on a shelf. That's not having a strategy.
And how many businesses do that? How many businesses have a plan, stick it away, never look at it from year to year, or maybe once a year? Oh, let's review that. What's the point in that? Yeah. What's the point in that? Doesn't work,
and I think the other thing I would say, and I would say this, is that having somebody external to your business, whether it's me or somebody else, challenging you as well, because when you're in your business, it's hard to step back and see it. So always use a facilitator or a coach or a mentor or whatever where you can, just to get that external input.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And have you thought about your favourite networking tip yet, Brenda?
Networking tip, for me personally, it's making sure I talk to somebody that I don't know, because it's very easy to get to a networking and stand and chat to the people that you know and you like and your friends, and it's all very cozy and comfy.
Yeah.
Kind of defeats the purpose. So make the point of meeting somebody that you haven't met before.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the advantage of the online networking, because if you get put in a breakout room with somebody that you haven't met, then you've got that chance, haven't you? Whereas at a face-to-face meeting, it's harder to make those new connections. Yeah,
it's probably harder to break away from people that you know, because you get into a chat, suddenly you get chatting and you get carried away. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very hard for somebody new to walk into that as well, and to break into those, I'm going to say cliques, that's too strong a word.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda, for that excellent tip.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they contact you?
Okay, so you can have a look at my website, which is very simply brendaetchells.co.uk. Find out a bit more on there about what I do and the different services and products I offer. You can email me at brenda.etchells@carduuslimited.co.uk, or I'm over LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure you can contact me in one of those various ways.
Put all these in the show notes, so people, if you do want to get in touch with Brenda, just have a look in the show notes. I'm sure she wouldn't mind having a conversation with you at some point. Would you, Brenda?
Can I add in one more thing?
Of course you can.
Because I'm very, very aware that I have a lot of tools and techniques and experience, and not everybody can afford either the time or the money to have that on a one-to-one basis. I've set up on the website what I've called the Knowledge Club, and everything that I use with my clients is there for the clients or people to use, download and use for themselves, with tips and techniques as well. So if anybody's listening, have a look at the Knowledge Club on my website, and as I say, it's all there for people to use for free, all the resources. So it's a good starting point to have a play for yourself. And
then when they start to struggle, they can contact you, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want what I do to be approachable, and for anybody to be able to use. There's nothing scary about it. There's nothing magical about it. It's just thinking about your business from a different perspective, and making sure you take the time out to do that regularly.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Brenda. It's been lovely chatting to you. And,
it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Brenda. As usual, your skills and knowledge on all things strategy is pretty damned impressive.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Brenda. Bye. We are almost at the end of this week's show, but before we go, we are excited to tell you about our In Business Talks 2 episode this coming Tuesday.
Our special guests on next week's podcast are mother and son, Sharon and Declan from the Digital Gene. We're really looking forward to speaking to them and digging deeper into their experiences as a business couple.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on In Business Talks 2 Friday Fix. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, all we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. We'd really appreciate it.
Until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together we are In Business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.